Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for clicking on this video. This is David Pendleton. Now we're going to talk about the rookie division. This is going to be your opening round front 9 holes for the Get Set Go tournament. Hey, if you're not a subscriber, I really hope you hit that subscribe button and be part of the channel like that. It's absolutely free to subscribe. And secondly, if you like my walkthroughs and my videos, please take a moment to hit the thumbs up button before you leave. All right, here we go. This is a more difficult tournament, so every hole is going to be super important. So let's start off on hole number 1. Hole number 1, we're getting a nice little tailwind here, which means we're only going to go with a couple bars, a top spin, and 1 bar, a side spin to the left. Here you see I go 2 top, 1 left, and that's really all that we need to do on this hole. From here, we will go ahead and pull 10% at max. Not a whole lot to see on the pool. And this thing comes down really nicely on the fairway. This is plenty of yards. We don't need to push the drive. We don't need to use more topspin. Pretty much just right in this zone is going to leave us for a nice looking shot for shot number 2. We're going to play it above the rough line, which means we're going to go pretty heavy with the backspin. You'll notice it takes me a moment here just to tweak the backspin and get it right. But then we'll take a look at it. So this is what we're going to end up doing. We're going to go with no side spin. And we're going to go with, let's call that 4.9 bars of back. Here, I'm aiming, as you can see, at the flag stick, but just barely shying the left-hand side of the flag stick. It's almost dead center, but favoring just the left-hand side by a tad. Oops. Nice part is this is only 2.2 mile per hour wind, which is as low as you can get in rookie with the navigator. So this one was pretty much a layup. The ball went exactly where we aimed. So that's hole number 1. Pick up an eagle. Tough eagle to pick up. You won't see a lot of people get it, so it's nice to start off with that. This is the second hole, of course. This one's more difficult to figure out. Here we're going to go with 1 bar of side spin to the right. And we're taking a look here about 2.5 bars of topspin. You can kind of see, each bounce and kind of pause that one there on how I am lining this shot up. But again, this one is very difficult to get correct. I went ahead and just pulled it 10% at mid. We hit a perfect ball, so at least we can learn from that. But when it comes to what do we need to do to get this one in the hole, obviously, we have to move our target around to make the ball more right. But, we don't know, how the ball's going to bounce and roll as we start moving it along this one. So here, I'm just playing this one for the birdie and taking my chances on other holes. All right, hole number 3, we're going to go with the katana ball. We're going to go with 4.5 bars of topspin combined with 3 bars of side spin to the left. I'm putting my yellow ring right there on the rough line. From here, I make a 10% pull at max. Even though we're not at max, we pull it at max because of the tailwind. We want to make sure we pull enough rings back so that we don't accidentally clip the first rough. We go from fairway to fairway. We get ourselves a nice little rollout here. And that'll leave us for shot number 2. Shot number 2, we play 10% at mid. You'll just have to check the distance of your own club depending on how much yards you get on the drive. Keep in mind there that I did cut myself off at 4.5 top, so that way some of you with lower level extra miles can copy my exact adjustment. Here you see we go with almost 1 bar top spin. I'm basically just applying enough top spin to get the ball to go through the hole like that. This one is pretty aggravating because as you're going to notice here, I don't hit many great balls in this round, but this one I do hit great. And the thing that stinks about it is I think with a perfect ball, we're in the hole. I mean, the speed is great. It's right next to the cup. Great left, and we just barely missed to the left-hand side. So do better than me. Hit a perfect ball, and I hope you drop that one in for the albatross. Hole number 4 is going to be played 65% at mid. We're going to use a navigator and a backbone. And we're simply going to start off with 4.5 bars of backspin. Once you apply your spin, I want you to find your landing position I'll get a different angle right here. So notice where I'm aiming. My final bounce is almost in the corner of that dark green patch of square. Basically, you know, if you look at the hole is in a dark green patch at the very center, front side of the dark green patch. Below the hole is a light green patch, and then my final fully developed bounce is in the corner pocket of that dark green square. That was my aim point based off how I missed on my other account. Here, you're going to see, again, this is a 65% pull at mid. We hit a perfect ball. That one's tough. You know, we miss it by a fraction to the right-hand side. So what can we do here, or to the left-hand side, whichever it was? You can add 5% more elevation. You can try to play it 70% at mid, which will make you pull a couple more decimal points. And then that one would be more centered up. That's probably what I would do if I were you. Or you could just play 65% like I did and just move your target position over to the left a little bit. So two different ways that I'm thinking you could try to play it to get that one in the hole. Okay, hole number 5. I'll tell you something about hole number 5 here is I was kind of testing it out. You can definitely make this with a Titan, as you can see here. We'll need a little bit of overpower, but I'm going to make the shot easier for myself and for you. I'm going to go ahead and use a Berserker here. We might as well, since we're getting a flicker of tailwind, it's nice to take advantage of a short par 4 like this when we can get way up close to the green. We can get far enough up here with a Berserker to have a chip-in shot with our Endbringer. Here you can see I'm using just a tad of overpower. The reason that I'm using a little bit of overpower is because I want this bounce here, but most importantly, I want the second bounce to make sure it hits the fairway like that so that we get our really good rollout. And this is really a nice shot because it's going to leave us for shot number 2, in which I play 20% at mid. You know, depending on where you get on this fairway, you're going to be between 1 bar of backspin and 2 bars of backspin. For me, it was 1 bar of backspin. I'm just checking the distance of my club, and I'm going to put this thing kind of in the center of the cup, making sure that I bounce into the hole, because the last thing that we want to do is use backspin and then, of course, have that ball just die on us and come up short. This green is a little bit glitchy too, so you got to make sure that when you check that backspin, you don't accidentally get the part of the green to where you get like a developed flat ball guideline, because that can cause your ball to roll past the cup. But here we bounce it in, we hit the pin, and we go in for the eagle. Hole number 6 is going to be a par 5. No moving target here. We don't have to adjust rings. We're getting almost dead headwind. It's just a little bit of flicker from right to left. Here, again, a little bit of OP, nothing crazy. Just making sure that I can hit perfect. Using a Titan ball, of course, if you want to cut down the wind, this is a good opportunity to where you could use a Kingmaker, but a Kingmaker is definitely not a must in this situation. We haven't used a Kingmaker yet, and the only time we will is on hole number 9 of this opening round. Here we're going to go 10% at mid. I'm going to go ahead and pull it at mid, even though we're not at mid, just because of the headwind. I want to make sure that we account for the secondary wind push, since our landing position is pretty far away from the hole. So playing this shot at mid is just kind of one way to trick yourself to pull a little bit more rings. Now kind of notice that I'm using the fringe to bounce off of. And let's take a look at the landing spot. So fringe to bounce off of, and I'm aiming in the hole, right-hand side of flagstick. Ball guideline through the cup. All right, here we make our ring pull. 10% at mid. I mean, it's dead center perfect ball. And you're going to see here that we hit the fringe, but we do just barely roll past the cup on the left-hand side. Speed is really good. The only thing that I would say that I would do differently here is I would go ahead and offset the ball guideline. I would make it to where the ball guideline is not in the cup anymore, but it would be touching the right edge of the cup. So instead of being center, move it over, have your ball guideline after your spin outside the cup, touching the right-hand side, and see how that works. In my head, I think that's what we need to try to do to get that one to drop. Okay, this one we're going to play 10% at mid. We're very, very close to a difficult hole-in-one. Here we're going to go with 2.5 top and then 1 bar of side spin to the left. I'll show you the landing position that I'm looking for. I want you to notice that I am aiming basically 1 row to the right-hand side of the cup. And if you take a look at my very end of my ball guideline, I'm playing kind of on the right-hand side of this light green vertical row. Make sense? Light green vertical row, I'm playing on the right-hand side of it, just like that. Here, this is a 10% pull at mid, or really a push. It's another perfect ball, so you can kind of get to learn from this one. This one's not going to be an easy hole-in-one, but we do get pretty close. As you can see, the speed is perfect. So all we need to do now is try to move our landing position over to the left a little bit since we missed to the right. Hole number 8 gives you a great chance to pick up an eagle. Here, we're going to go with 4.5 top, 3 bars of side spin to the right. If you're playing with an extra mile 8 or 9, obviously you have more top spin available. I don't recommend that you use it on this hole. I recommend you play the 4.5 top, 3 right. The reason being, there is a certain part of this fairway that we are trying to land on, which gives us a fringe bounce shot with our thorn. Okay, you don't want to get too much distance on this drive and play this with the inbringer, because the shot with the inbringer stinks. Just being honest there. So I also want you to note here where I'm aiming. Look at the left edge of my red ring. It's on the rough line. This is after spin is applied. And take a note of the curl that I'm using, because this is where we want to be. Right there, right side of the ball, touching the right edge of the adjustment window. That's the curl. This is going to leave us with a 0% shot at mid. Your backspin will vary depending on your thorn and where you land on the fairway. Keep in mind we're using backspin with the thorn, so we've got to make sure that our ball guideline is to the cup and through. You see there, we got the ball guideline going right there, not to the back edge of the hole because of the tailwind, but I do have it going to the pin, so middle of the hole. Again, I make that ring pull, 0% at mid, perfect ball, and this ball's going to go really nicely into the hole for the eagle on hole number 8. It's going to take us to hole number 9. Hole number 9 is a hole in which I screwed up not once but twice, okay? I did pick up the birdie on this. As a matter of fact, I picked up the birdie. My opponent picked up the birdie. On my other account, I picked up the birdie. My opponent parred the hole. I actually put 2 shots in the water, my opponent did, for shot number 2. So here's what I'm going to tell you. There is 2 different ways you can go about this, okay? The first one is you can try to play it like we did in the qualifying round, which is going to be the shot that I'm going to show you. If you wanted to say, forget about it, I just want to try to pick up a safe birdie and not even mess with this big dog shot, I don't blame you. What I would do then is I would take your most powerful ball, okay? If that's a berserker, that's a berserker. I would launch this thing as far up the fairway as possible and as far up the rough as possible. If you can get good distance up the rough, you can take your rough iron, and of course I would recommend using the Amazon because that's the most powerful rough iron, or just make sure you check your bag. I would use whatever power stat you have for a rough iron, and then I would just lay up onto the fairway and green area for shot number 2. Power 5 ball, blast it, but you have to make sure when you blast it that you do hit this first fairway and get a good bounce and roll as high up on that rough as you can. That'll get you a safe eagle, okay? I wish I would have done that, but I didn't. I played it just like this. And anyways, I think that'll get you a safe eagle. I can't say that'll get you a safe eagle because I didn't try, but I would imagine if you took a power 5 ball and you just knocked the snot out of it as far at that rough as possible, you could take your rough iron and lay up on that green for the eagle. So Here, I'm going to pull 10% at max. You saw I went with one back, one left, and I just laid up, okay? Or this one, I think I went with no backspin, right? I'm sorry. Yeah. No spin, top or bottom, but we're going to go with one bar side spin to the left, and then we come up here and we roll up and we're there. And then shot number 2 is no good. 10% at mid. Here I go with, 5 top, 3 right. And with that ball guideline just like that. But here, unfortunately, I just didn't use enough top spin to roll out of the rough. Hit that perfect ball with the full curl to the right. I just needed more top spin to get myself to roll out, and I didn't save the shot on either account. Hey, that's it for the front 9. I'm going to start working on the back 9 now. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Let me know how you do in the comments.